with The Soul, brought to you by Pets Clark Supply. I'm Adam Deal, glad you could join. It's not often you get a poet laureate on your show, and so before we intro him, we're going to play this first on this segment.
See, in the heart of Aslan, there is a soul that burns like the harvest sun, that turns Chile into championships, that we show up every day at 6 a.m. to grow. A soul that pulses like a piece of molten mesa, extraterrestrial hearts that our opponents can see from a distance, even beneath our away kits. Like a red giant fist standing in the center of our chests, they can see it beating them. When you live this close to the sun, you do not fear supernova. Cooler than the other side of the sandias, immune to fear and burnout. At this elevation, we are an evolution of retina, endurance, and hard work. We are bigger lungs that are full of bigger skies, big enough to embrace our abundance of prayers and hold on to our biggest dreams. We are the direct descendants of the sun, an offspring of helium and hydrogen. From the home of the hotheads and the hot air balloons, we are as much combustion as we are fly. We were born to play the beautiful game in the most beautiful place on earth. That is our inheritance from the patron saint of soccer. Fields everywhere, fields awash in our most precious resources: water, blood, sweat, and tears. Our living sacrifice to the Mesoamerican ball games our predecessors used to play right here. The fast feet of the flamencos, the marathon makeup of Popeye, the nunca abandone of los campesinos. So many nations in our blood, we might as well be a pickup game at the World Cup. The fight over this turf that we've endured empire after empire, border after border, league after league, in order to remain ourselves, no matter what name we are given next, leaving everything except our pride on the field of battle, because the root word of soldier is soul. And if having soul is about attitude, then we got plenty of it. The brand of association football that grows in the desert is kin to any other phenomenon with the constitution to survive here. Tough. And for those who doubt us, who doubt the existence of the Aslan inside us, who say Albuquerque will never have a Major League Soccer club, we respectfully ask you to leave this pitch. Because this family is for believers only.
Well, so here he is, Hakim Bellamy. Glad you could join, and you got to see his work right there. This is our first time getting to meet, which is really cool, and glad you could join us here on the set, man.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it, man.
So tell me, how you get involved with The Soul?
With these guys? And so Lencho and Ron approached me a little while back, as a writer, right? I write poems, but I also do journalism and other things of that nature. Actually met Lencho before that at UPublic when we were doing like a morning show segment, and a good friend of mine, my brother Carlos Contreras, had worked with them before, so he made the introductions. But we just got to talking in the studio, and I was like, I grew up playing soccer. How can I support The Soul? I'm from New Jersey originally, so soccer's really been my life since I could walk. Now my son plays for Albuquerque United FC. He's 9 years old, and I coach his team.
There you go.
And so my baby brother, Tyler Bellamy, played for the Rochester Rhinos in the USL. I played in college and even had a chance to coach at the junior college level. And so it's what my family did growing up. It's what my family did growing up. And so I was like, how can I support you guys? And they were just like, just be a fan. And I was like, okay, that's easy. I know how to do that. And then it came the opportunity to kind of partner on what's brewing and write for what's brewing. And I was like, well, why don't I just write you guys a poem? And they were like, we thought you'd never ask. So
it's one of those things where when you read it the first time, you're kind of taken aback. But then as you start listening to it and almost have to read it out loud, and all the ties in of New Mexico, it becomes mind-blowing. It really does, as to how in-depth that poem is. So we're very fortunate to have someone with his gifts to be able to write something about us. So we're blessed about that. So
a good poem should get better over time. Like the first time you read it, you should kind of be like, and then you should be like, oh, and then you should be like, yo.
So it's like watching a good funny movie. You think it's okay,
Right,
and then you
right,
keep watching. You're
right.
like, wow, this is
I
like
mean,
my
now
favorite movie. all
Half
of a
Baked is a
sudden.
classic, right? Like,
I like it. Okay, we're going to get into a little bit more soccer because it's Soccer Talk with the Soul, but I want you to talk about poetry a little bit more and
Sure.
how you became to develop this art and got really good at it.
you know what? That's a great question, Adam, because I think that I often credit a lot of who I am as an artist to my career as a soccer player growing up, and in saying that when I got into slam poetry, which is specifically a competitive poetry environment where you're competing with other poets, you stand up, you have 3 minutes to read a poem, the audience decides if they like the poem, they score it 0 to 10, kind of Olympic style, and then you move on to the second round, third round, and there's a winner at the end of the night. It's very American Idol-ish. That's how I came into the poetry community and the poetry scene, and that kind of competitive spirit made me read more, made me write more, and as I read more and wrote more, I was like, wait, I like this. I'm sort of good at it. I could be better at it. The only way to get better at it is through discipline. And as a lifelong athlete, that's all I know is how to do things over and over and over again until you get better at them. And so I think that competitive spirit, especially as I got older and my hip and knees and ankles got bad and I couldn't play soccer as well as I wanted to anymore, you still have that competitive spirit, and it was like poetry came in and kind of filled that void right away. And so, yeah.
And so from New Jersey,
Yes.
came here when?
In 2005, on MLK Day, oddly enough, irony, you can't write this, you can't make this stuff up, but MLK Day 2005.
It's almost 12 years ago. And,
Yeah.
and tell us a little bit about your college playing days. You mentioned you played a
Yeah.
little bit in college.
I did. So growing up in South Jersey, I played for a club team. Shout out to the South Jersey Strikers out of Cinnaminson, and we played against ODP teams. We weren't an ODP team, but we were a select traveling team. We did tournaments from Florida all up and down the East Coast. That's how I got looked at and recruited out of high school. Didn't take a soccer scholarship right away. I was fortunate to be offered some. And I was a pretty good student, so I got a full ride to Virginia Commonwealth University, which is a D1 school in Richmond, Virginia. And I still wanted to play soccer, right? And so I walked on at VCU. I made the team, made the practice squad, and then through some conversations with my scholarship provider, the engineering program, they were like, kid, you don't have time to play soccer and do school. I had to kind of remove myself from the team.
Make the decision.
Yeah, and since I've only known soccer my entire life, like I was a bad student, let's be honest, but I was a worse student when I didn't feel motivated by having something to do. Like having soccer actually got me through high school.
I'll be honest, if I didn't play soccer in college, I would have never got my degree.
Right.
I finished playing soccer after 4 years, and they said, "Oh, you're almost graduating." And I said, "Really?" Like,
Right.
I would have never gotten anywhere if it weren't for sports.
Absolutely. And my grades suffered, and then I lost my scholarship, and my parents were like, "What are you gonna do, dude? We can't afford to And fortunately, I had this coach, and shout out to Jeremy Tittle, who was. He coached at Lees McRae College, which is where I finished my college soccer career, my NCAA eligibility, D2 school in Western North Carolina, 7 miles from the Tennessee state line. And we were competitive. We were like perennially ranked in D2. We played some D1 schools and gave them a run. But it was because one of my best friends in high school, who I played club ball with, he ended up going there as a striker. And Coach Tittle just kept in touch. And he was like, if you ever change your mind, if you ever want to transfer out here. And frankly, when I lost my scholarship, he was like my lifeline. And then I went out there, redshirted a year, played my last year of eligibility, and got my degree.
Well, that works out then.
Yeah.
Right? Next thing you know, you're graduating. Back to the soul. It's. I think a lot of people maybe don't understand it if they haven't come out and watched, but it's a high level. And these are a lot of college players, right? A lot of players that have just finished college, but the better players at their college. So this is truly PDL, what it means. I mean, development into pros. And so it's a good level of soccer that we have here in Albuquerque.
Absolutely. And I just feel like, being a transplant here, coming from New Jersey, and New Jersey's very well known for its soccer fanship. The numbers of young people who play club ball, soccer, any kind of intramural soccer for boys and girls is extremely high in New Jersey, and it's an extremely dense state. I always point to like the Tab Ramoses and the Tony Miolas of the world. Like those are Jersey boys, right? Tim Howard, right? And who I played against when I was select. He was good then too, right? Yeah, he was good then too, right? But I feel like that's great for New Jersey, being where New Jersey is, but New Mexico should have more. It should have the pro teams. It should have, our proximity to Mexico, which is where amazing soccer is played for generations, how come we don't have as huge a,
Well, I think it's starting to.
Yeah.
Right? And Larry, that brings me to my next question: is you just had tryouts, which was fairly successful, right? And,
Yeah.
And I mean, some of these players that come out, I mean, there's better and better talent that maybe even didn't go play college that decided not to, or club players that are really good that decided to come and give it a go. Tell me about the tryouts.
You know, I got really nervous on Friday.
The weather was bad.
Having all that snow dumped upon us, it was
Yeah.
like, oh no, what are we going to do? And then Dave Sullivan Jr., my director of game day operations, he and I on Saturday were there out there at 8 a.m. blowing snow around, and it never got above freezing. We were like, we can't do this today. And, luckily we said, okay, let's just push it all to Sunday. By 8:30 that morning, it was warmer on Sunday than it had been all day on Saturday. So everything had started already to melt away, and it ended up being a great day. Guys had a great time. We kept it a little smaller this year, and the talent was pretty good. I don't know exactly how many invites Coach did to bring into the preseason. We'll run a good preseason calendar, starting in March, running all the way through April. Guys that show well will be asked to participate in first team duties when the first team reports. I think the first team will end up getting here by about the 6th of May. And this is going to be something new for us. We'll actually have about 14 days with these guys before our first game. We've never had that. It's always been about 3 days with the first team, and then we have to go and play a game. So we're excited. We think it's going to be a great year. So
We'd like to thank everybody who's come on, John Starr from Starr Brothers Brewing, and also with the 505 Reds. Graham Matthews that joined us, and of course Hakim Bellamy. Thank
you so much,
We're gonna have to
Adam.
have you on again, man. This guy's good. Larry Espinosa, appreciate you. Soccer Talk with the Soul. We'll be back in a couple weeks.